Welcome back to another episode of Let's Finally Grow. I am your host, Ariana, and today you see me with bangs. Tomorrow you probably will not. I am so sick and tired of my bangs. I had no idea how much maintenance they would need, and I have to maintain my motherfucking emotions, which is not an easy thing to do. So I don't really have the time to maintain my bangs. As cute as they can be, as cute as they are, as much of a fashion statement they can be, they aren't when they aren't maintained. So I'm really trying to grow them out. That's why they're touching my eyeballs right now. And that's why you may never see them again, depending on how fast my hair grows. I think I'm being a little dramatic, but that is me to my core. I am dramatic. I'm emotional, and that's what I'm here to maintain. My motherfucking emotions, not my bangs. So now that we've got that out of the way and I gave the bang update that everybody needed to hear. Not only hear, see, watch, and I almost said watch and see. Watch and hear, watch and listen. We can get into what actually brought us here today, which is ironically growth. What? Yes. Growth brought us here, brought us together today. And I know that the bangs are growing too. That's why I could talk about them in this episode, because it had to do with growth. That's actually, I try to start these episodes with saying something so silly and then dragging like in the topic to connect what I said that was silly into like a much deeper conversation. And I had no idea I could do that with bangs. That was like a light bulb moment, because we're going to talk about growing and maintaining our emotions. And it is not the same as growing and maintaining bangs, but both need growth and maintenance. Whew. What I really want to get into is something that I realized recently. I had a really deep, inspiring thought as I was growing through a little bit of a tough situation. And the thought was, I fight this battle of caring about how I'm perceived more than how I actually feel. And I think we all kind of do that in our own way, but it is only harming us. This image that we try to perceive, do we even know what it fucking looks like? And also, like, have you ever met someone and thought like, I really like the way they maintain their image, the way they grow their image, the way they maintain it? I don't know about you. I like authenticity. I'm like, I love that person is real. I respect that they have emotions. If someone is trying to maintain an image, you are making yourself like look like so many other people that aren't speaking their truth or being real. And I don't really fuck with that. But at the same time, I know it's not an easy thing to do, because even me being aware of it and being able to recognize it doesn't stop me from still doing it. Like, this was a very recent situation, and I caught myself almost not expressing myself because of the way I would be viewed if I would express myself. And it didn't even turn into a great outcome, but it was growth. And I maintained my emotions. So let's fucking talk about it. If I can go back to like early days of remembering how I was trying to protect my image versus saying how I feel like that really showed up in a lot of friendships that I had. And I would not say how I felt about things because I was risking being wrong about how I felt and looking crazy. I think that's always my fear. Like, if I say how I feel, I'm gonna what if I'm wrong about how I feel, which is wild because how you feel is how you feel. It's like the one thing in your life that deserves full certainty. And 2, what if I look crazy? Why would I look, if I am crazy for being my most authentic self and sharing my feelings, so be it. I'm pretty sure I am. So like I just accept it. But those are the thoughts that go through my mind. And I would, have situations with friendships where I didn't feel great, or I felt something was being projected on me, or whatever the fuck, I was disrespected, whatever the fuck the situation was. And I would not speak up about it. I would let it build up. Maybe I would talk to other people about it, and I would never talk about it with that person. And that starts motherfucking fire flames. You're also losing yourself by not honoring the way you feel. How are you going to like ever trust yourself and get to know yourself really well? And like, honestly, I really think our emotions are always trying to point us in a certain direction. And if we ignore those things, like those signals, those signs, and the way that we feel, we just stay stuck. And I have ruined a lot of friendships from probably not talking about things sooner, allowing the build up, and just not being able to communicate with how each other feels. And I think that if you do the hard thing, again, I'm going to drill this into your head as much as I drilled this into my head on a daily basis. If I would have not been a little bitch and did the hard things in the moment, which would have been expressing the way that I feel and risking looking crazy for having emotions, which we all have. I think it's more crazy to suppress them now that I'm like really talking about it. If I would have done that, maybe I could have saved the friendships. Maybe they still would have not been good. There are people out there that aren't ready to hear how you feel because they're not even tuning into the way they feel. And they are going to make you feel crazy, and they are going to disregard your emotions. But that's not on you. Just because they do that doesn't mean that like the moment you had with yourself where you felt something wasn't real, didn't exist. Like, I'm sorry. The way you feel when you go to a concert, your favorite person is performing. You love that feeling. You chase that feeling. You're going after that motherfucking feeling. And you're going to say, I love the way that makes me feel. Like, when you go to a spa and you're like, I love going to the spa. I love the way that makes me feel. When guys go golfing, they love the way that fucking golf makes them feel. But feelings don't start and end with those superficial experiences that there's no denying we enjoy. They go so much deeper. And the way a person feels about anything is real, and it matters. And we need to talk about it more. Some heavy fucking duty shit over here, okay? We're changing the world one fucking second, one fucking episode at a time. Now, when it comes to dating is probably one of the most scary experiences to say how you feel. And it's because you don't want to push someone away. Like in a friendship, it's a totally different dynamic than like when it becomes dating, because dating is just so much more intimate of a situation. And I think there's just so much pressure on dating itself. I know that I've been in many situations when it comes to dating that if I didn't talk about things initially, it turned into a cycle of repetitive behavior. And by the time I talked about it, it was just like so much worse than what it could have been if I like addressed how I felt in the beginning. And I find myself at times getting myself into situations where it has to do with dating. I say how I feel about something and the way that something makes me feel, and it does not go the way that I want it to. My emotions are thrown in the garbage. My ego is crumbling, and I'm a sad little bitch. But I would have been a sad little bitch regardless. Because it's either I say something and I express myself and it goes great, or it doesn't go great. Or I don't say anything and I continue to not speak my truth or the way that I feel, and I'm a sad little bitch still. At least one way is like the mature way that can enable growth, which is saying how I feel initially, not letting things build up, remembering who the fuck I am and that my feelings are valid. The other one, I think, is putting me into a box of being like nonchalant, like, oh, nothing really bothers me. And maybe there are people, I think there are people out there that exist that are more of the unbothered type. I don't fit in that category. I am bothered as fuck. And I really do like to keep the peace of mind in all of my relationships. So I feel like the sooner I say how I feel and I see how someone like respects that and we move past it, the more calm I can be, or the sooner I can be calm because I've expressed how I felt and I like the way that my emotions were handled. And I feel like that's how friendships start too. Like you have boundaries, and your boundaries are always to protect yourself. I read something once and it said that if your boundaries are to control someone's emotions, then they're not boundaries. But if your boundaries are to protect your emotions, then they are boundaries. And I'm really big on initial boundaries because the way someone handles your boundaries is the way that someone is going to handle you. Like, you'll learn very fucking soon. And everyone has different boundaries because everyone has been in such different situations. I don't really know people that have been in a lot of the situations that I have been in. And the people that I know, I haven't been in their situations. So you don't know why someone needs to feel this way, to feel safe or feel good because of this reason. But if you care about someone and you respect them and you want to get to know them more, then you just fucking understand it. And to be honest, when you can set boundaries with people and talk about feelings and emotions and all of that corny shit, it's not so corny. It is rewarding because that is like allowing you to open yourself and be yourself and take friendships and relationships to a deeper level of being understood. And like, I'm always going to think life is so much better on that end versus talking about superficial shit, repeating cycles, and being lame. I'm choosing being corny over being lame. There's also like different levels. Like sometimes you might feel a certain way because of a vibe or like a trigger or just from the complete unknown. But then there's a way that you may feel because you feel that you may have been disrespected. And that is one to definitely not ignore. But I also feel like that's probably the hardest one to confront in someone else. Like, I do think that at this point of my life, if I do feel disrespected in any way, shape, or form, I don't even know if I want to talk about it. I kind of do just want to walk away because I have built this trust within myself in this relationship to like really understand when disrespect does happen. And if someone's disrespecting you, that is a pattern that will motherfucking continue. Fortunately, I don't think I've been disrespected in a little bit because I keep my circle so small, but I can definitely think back to times that I have and it only got worse. But I feel like in those situations, you do feel so crazy. You're like, did this person just do this to me? Like, did that actually happen? Would they really be that vicious, that mean to like disrespect me in that sense? And it is like the most difficult thing to then go and confront, but that is the most important time to value yourself, because if you're not talking to someone about how someone disrespected you, like to that person directly, not another person, you are feeling crazy inside. You're like, would I think then that someone would do that to me? Am I just making that up? Am I that fucked up? Was my childhood that crazy? What is going on here? I do think there's different tiers to that too, because sometimes people have had really tough childhoods where like they can be triggered from, and it wasn't actually something that disrespected them. It wasn't actually someone that was meant to like disrespect them, but they felt a type of way from it, and then they start taking everything wrong. And I feel like even in those situations, it's even more important to be vocal. So at least I'm being authentic. I know I just said I would probably walk away if I felt disrespected, but it really depends on the level of disrespect and if it was a pattern and if it continued, because sometimes people don't like it. Like sometimes you're sensitive and sometimes people don't intend to make you feel the way you felt. Like it just hit too close to home in a different way. So all things should be talked about. All fucking things should be talked about for your own peace of mind, because there really is no shame in either route that it goes. Like, let's say you talk to someone, say, this is how I felt from X, Y, and Z. And that person says, I never meant to make you feel that way. I hear you. I see you, blah, blah, blah. Then you're like, whew, okay, weight off my back. They understand me. They hear me. If it happens again, then like, you know, we'll go from there and we'll understand it in a different way. But they seem like they care and like they don't want that to happen. Maybe I was just in my head a little bit. Or they could gaslight you and make you feel like you're in the wrong. And then that's when you know you need to fucking run. You were right. And hide in the hills from this scenario, because your feelings were right. And no matter what, in either situation, whether it brought up a past experience that really didn't have to do much with this experience, but it felt like it did, or someone intended to make you feel a certain way, your feelings are still your feelings. In neither situation are your feelings wrong. And I feel like that's the biggest thing like that we're worried about, is our feelings and our emotions being wrong and us being vulnerable and how much that's going to hurt. But I don't think we're ever wrong about how we feel. Maybe we don't have the exact reason behind it of why we felt that way. Maybe we don't know that part. Maybe that part is missing and someone else can better explain it to us so we can better understand them, better understand ourselves, and live a motherfucking better life. But the way you felt is still the way you feel. And I'm only concerned and interested, intrigued in having people in my life who are going to care about how I feel, because that means they care about how they feel. And they're mature. And feelings matter. And we have to grow and we have to maintain our motherfucking emotions the best way that we can. And anyone who does care about you at all, which you want to surround yourself with people who certainly do care about you, is going to care about the way they make you feel. So next time you sit there and you wonder if your emotions are going to make you look crazy or ruin something, or, you know, just worry about the way you feel, about the way you feel, about showing the way you feel, remember that it is so much more important to honor the way you feel over however you are perceived. There are so many different people in this world going through so many different experiences, and we're all viewed differently by every single person that we meet. You can't project one image, perfect it, and have everyone look at you this certain way. So your best bet is to speak your mind, be authentic, live your truth, because maybe not everyone's going to see that the same way. They might notice different things they like, different things they don't like about you, but at least they can look at you and say, that person is real. That person is authentic. That person values themselves. That person I can have a real ass friendship with, a real ass relationship. I would choose that over the way I look any single day. And I think that anybody that watches this podcast, knows me personally, follows me online, probably knows that already because of the way I present myself. But I'm so proud of that, versus then trying to maintain an image, or versus not talking about my feelings, because let's be fucking for real. I think all I do is talk about the way I feel. So it's pretty crazy that I recently had a situation where I almost didn't because the way that it could make me look. But it just shows that no matter what it is in life, like no matter what you've worked constantly on, you've worked towards, you've tried to better about yourself, it doesn't really matter. You still have to work on it. Like everything is linear in life. Nothing is just like, okay, we fixed that. It's done. Never work on it again. It's like, Ariana, what? You were worried about the way you would look, about talking about how you feel? You have a podcast for the world to see if the world wants to see. And everyone is able to give their opinion, and it's all based off of the way you fucking feel. But growth, baby. Little lesson, learn that. And I wanted to share that in case anyone is battling a situation where they are not talking about the way they feel because they're scared of the way they would look. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to, but when it does, boom, baby. And even without that, you need to be number one in your life, and you need to choose yourself first and the way you feel every single fucking time. Okay, I am tired of talking about my feelings at this point. I am drained, and I am going to sit in silence for hours because it's all or nothing. Balance, baby. I love you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Okay, goodbye.